Anyway, good, and I can edit the front end of this too, by the way. So
Okay.
we're going to go back and we're going to reposition this a little bit. There we go. That's awesome. Anyway, thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Tom Stark, also known as the Organic Retiree, and you can find me at the organicretiree.com. But I'm with my friend Pam Preczewski here today. Pam is an accountant, and she is with Accounting Pros of Michigan. And, we're here today in part because we're getting into the end of September. So we're going to be through 3/4 of a tax year, and we're getting into the last quarter of the tax year. So Pam, what do people need to do, either as business owners, entrepreneurs, home-based businesses, or just individuals?
Just individuals.
Yeah, to get ready for the end of the tax
Everybody
year.
needs to be aware that at the end of the year, there's tax records that we need to all accumulate. Even if you have a W-2 form and, your interest or your dividend statements, you have health insurance, you just need to have your records in order. So sometimes we wait till after year end, and then it becomes a big shoebox type thing, and it's messy. And good records save money.
Mm-hmm. I didn't bring you a shoebox last year. Didn't I bring you a big accordion?
You brought me a
file?
bunch of envelopes, which I thought were very organized. But listen, even still, believe it or not, that was very good because you had already categorized things.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't have to necessarily do the accountant's job, but, to be aware. And if you have an accountant, or you'd like one, you have to be aware that there's categories of things that you can deduct and
Mm-hmm.
income that you must report. So that's important to start thinking about your records.
So for folks who have their own business or they work out of their home, like technically you work out of your home.
Correct.
So you can deduct a portion of your home as business expenses. You
Yes.
also have office space that you lease here, or you have
Right.
office space at Danceport Academy.
Right.
But what would your advice be about how you begin to organize your taxes around what categories?
For an entrepreneur, Tom, or somebody like self-employed, they often just feel everything's deductible.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that because that's very, I don't know, very hopeful. But if you don't think like that, then a lot of times you're missing potential deductions. So even though I usually have to be the bearer of bad news, when it's not deductible, I think, especially coming into the third quarter, you need to be aware of anything that you possibly did that had to do with your business.
Mm-hmm.
And people that, of course, we're all in business to make money, so I'm assuming we all did make some type of income. If you're not an employee, then that means you need to possibly pay in some income tax. So we have a quarterly estimate coming up the end of the
Mm-hmm.
month.
Yeah.
Or really for January 15th. So let's get it together.
So it's important because you brought up the quarterly income.
Correct.
Tax income that you have to pay.
Right.
And so for people that haven't been doing that,
Right.
now would be the time to make it right as best you
Absolutely,
can. There would be a
right.
potential penalty, but
The first year that you file a tax return and that you owe a lot of money, let's just keep it simple, you could be subject to penalties and interest, but I would say it would be small because you didn't have a prior year to compare it to. So why would you make estimates? But really, we are in a progressive tax system where we should be paying as we go. And sometimes we don't have the income to pay it. So, okay, that's fine, but be aware, but by January 15th, we should make an estimated tax payment to pay in some tax.
okay. And there is a lot happening in Washington these days.
There is.
So I would assume that it's very important to be organized now.
Right.
So if things do change,
Right.
that you have some clue of what you're moving into, or at least what you have to, how you can affect things that you already have.
Right.
I don't know if I'm saying that well or not.
No, I
but
think you're on track. You've been in business actually for a long time, believe it or not. I think you have a good sense about things, Tom. But just to keep it again simple, there is a lot of potential legislation. But I have to say, the government moves very slow. So even if it does sound juicy, like some of this stuff could happen, it wouldn't be effective, I don't think, for 2017.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I think we need to see change in is maybe the healthcare system because it's penalizing a lot of people. But aside from that, I don't know. I don't think much of it's going to affect 2017.
Okay. But now is a good time to take a look at what you have organized, what you have out there from expenses. So are there expenses that you can carry from one year to the next year, or do you need to expense out as much as
A
possible?
lot of times, your expenses like that, would be what we call cash basis taxpayers. So when you have the expense, we recognize it in the year we have it. But let's just say it generates a loss. No, then you can carry it back 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or forward 20 years, if you can believe that. So that's where I would say, even though like nowadays there's all these types of computer programs, QuickBooks and TurboTax and all these tax things, but I would say, unless you are a trained tax person and accountant and you keep track of it, like you have a life, you should do what you do for your living and let the accountant or the tax person do that.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up saving money in the end. You will be happier. You won't worry about potential audit type things. I just think, even though it sounds like I would like your business, which I would, but I also wouldn't. If you can do it yourself, I really, Tom, if you think about it, I give you what we call an organizer, and where you organize your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you really save yourself a lot of money, but my job is to get it done timely and correctly. So that's what I enjoy doing.
Well, and this is Pam Preczewski from Accounting Pros of Michigan. If you have any tax needs or accounting needs or any questions about how to get organized for the tax year, the one that's going to be ending in another little over 3 months. It's kind of hard to believe that we're through 2017 as quickly as we are. But Pam, how can people find you?
You can call me directly at 313-318-9444 or send me an email at accountingprosmichigan@gmail.com, but accounting is ACCTG. Thank you.
Very good. And thank you very much for listening. Hope you. Yeah.
Sorry. I think that I messed it up at the